Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for clicking on the video. It means a lot if you guys keep clicking. If you guys keep clicking, I'll keep making. And today, we're back with another video. I think this one's a pretty interesting one. What I want to talk about in this video is this the end of Survivor? As the ratings, if you haven't heard of yet, the ratings are rapidly decreasing right now for Survivor, despite the great episode in episode 4 and overall a not terrible season yet. We have gotten a real decrease in ratings, and so I want to go through like just overall some background info, and then 41's ratings, how I feel about that, all types of stuff, why this season may be failing, or ratings wise, if we can rebound, where like the threshold is, where once we go under that, we're really screwed, and overall, all of the stuff like that. But before I get into it, first we had the live post-game show tomorrow for the what will probably be the last episode of the pre-merge. So tune in right after the episode drops, 9:05 p.m. We have so much fun on those live streams. You guys are amazing in the chat. Thank you for the continued support on those. Also, comment down below, how excited are you for this final episode? I'm wondering if you guys are like not excited at all, if you guys are super hyped, because the last episode was definitely a better episode than episode 3. I'm curious. And lastly, 72% of you guys who are watching these videos are not subscribed. Let's change that. It's easy and it's free. Thank you, Skylander, for making my thumbnails. And if that's it, let's get right into the video. So to start out this discussion, first I just want to go back and through a lot of background information just throughout how the viewership has gone up until season 41. So first of all, as most of you know, the early viewership for Survivor was much higher than the current, or even like the past few seasons, or even like dozens of seasons have been. The first 20 seasons had much of a bigger viewership audience than the next 20, especially. But there, it gets a little bit more complicated than that. Overall, also today, with TV declining as streaming becomes increasingly more popular, and by TV I mean cable. Getting cable viewership and or just like channel viewership, live viewers for the premiere of an episode, or just really an episode of a TV show or any program. It's decreased over time as there's been other options to absorb that same type of content. These options include Netflix, YouTube, and overall just the internet in general. So when season 1 had started, words spread very quickly. A lot of people hopped on like towards the end of the pre-merge, or like the end, or like the start of the post-merge, and each episode just built up viewers. As if the first episode premiered great, and then it just built all the way up until the finale, which had the most views of any Survivor episode at 51.7 million live viewers. And it's estimated that 125 million people watched a part of the episode, one part or the other, which is crazy Super Bowl level numbers. Obviously, at this point, the show had become a cultural phenomenon, and overall just like an iconic event. That first season was so iconic, and it really built up so much viewership. After this, they came back with season 2, which premiered after the Super Bowl of the next winter, I believe. Season 2 is the most viewed season overall. Now, obviously, Borneo has the biggest numbers as far as an episode, but as a season overall, because they didn't have to build up their audience as much, because the viewers were there from Borneo, the Oceanic Outback, or the second season, has the most viewers. It's the most viewed season overall out of any season, and it even beat out Friends, a show that was extremely popular at the time for the viewership ratings as the #1 show. After this, Africa aired, and about halfway through, or maybe like a few episodes into Africa, 9/11 happened. Now, 9/11, not only was it obviously devastating for people and just people's lives in general, but as far as media went, media views and ratings completely dropped. Very large drop. But this is around 2001. This is around the 3rd or 4th episode of Africa. Viewership dropped exponentially. It was a crazy gigantic decrease, causing seasons 3 and 4 to have a real decline in viewership. But surprisingly, actually the season in which people started to come back, when the whole big focus on 9/11 started to finally die down after a year or so. The season that was airing at that time was Thailand, which is regarded as probably the worst season of Survivor. And so that's why Thailand, behind Borneo and Australian Outback, which were pre 9/11 seasons, is the third most watched season, which is a crazy thought to think about overall. Now, after Thailand, viewership slowly decreased, but not really much notable of a decrease, always staying above 25 million viewers. Viewership definitely, continued to spike as big moments in the show took the headlines of papers by storm. Main ones being the peanut butter incident in in Amazon, where Kelly, or not Kelly, well, who is Kelly? Now I'm just going nuts. Where Heidi and Jenna took off their tops and their bottoms for some peanut butter and chocolate. And then we had the Rupert Mania, which brought back a lot of people. That was also a big moment. The Fair Play Grandma Lie made front page news in the same week that Saddam Hussein was killed. And so it just showed how big Survivor was at that time. And then also the All-Stars hype really brought back a lot of people. And so at this point, Survivor was consistently pulling in 25, 30, 35 plus viewers. Still, even after several seasons, which is crazy to think about. After this, obviously, viewership dropped after All-Stars, but really Palau, the season after All-Stars, which is season 10, it really captivated audiences. One, because of the easy-to-digest storyline of Oolong losing every challenge, and then Koror now having basically the whole merge just being the Koror tribe, that really gripped viewers in, and also Stephanie being, at the time, the most, or really, honestly, probably the most popular player at a certain point ever. I think Yowman, Rupert, and Stephanie are the three most popular people at a specific time in Survivor history ever. Now, you can make an argument that maybe Joe was more popular at his height, but just looking back, especially in that old school era, Stephanie was a gigantic figure, especially for like young women and even men at that time. And so really, Palau was the last season that really had like that water cooler level of viewership, to the point where it was a show that was not just like, oh yeah, like you like watch Survivor. It's like, oh yeah, we watch Survivor. It was more of a water cooler type of show, whereas now it's more of a, oh wow, you also watch that show. Let's talk about it, because not many other people that I know watch it. And so Palau was really the last time that it felt like that type of a Survivor viewing experience. And that was fitting because from 11 to 14, which is Guatemala, Exile Island, Cook Islands, and Fiji, they had tried a bunch of twists. They were kind of in their puberty phase, in which they were trying things. They obviously added the idol. They added Exile Island, which are reoccurring twists. They tried doing double tribals. Starting to like the immunity could be given or earned in specific ways, especially the immunity idol, but it was getting altered constantly. Obviously, in Fiji, they finally decided on what became the regular idol format. Obviously, Exile Island was tweaked a little bit. Everything was changed a lot in this period, and that definitely contributed to the fact that there were all these seasons were not received well by the public. The outlier sort of kind of being Cook Islands, but that's only because Ozzy and Yule and the I-24 storyline gripped some people. But besides that, these 4 seasons were let down as far as viewership ratings and just overall how much people liked the seasons as a whole. And one more thing that all of these seasons share is that they were all at best subpar. And I'm saying subpar because I'd say Cook Islands and Panama were more subpar seasons. Guatemala, I think it's a little bit below that, just because there's not many, not one really memorable person who we think of from that season, except Stephanie, who really isn't from that season. And then you have Fiji, which is just a straight up bad season. And so you had these seasons that were anywhere from bad to subpar, and that did not help viewership or ratings increase. In fact, they steadily declined in this time period in Survivor history. And then after this, China and Micronesia really kicked Survivor back into gear. People love these seasons. Micronesia got a bunch of money for Survivor. It was the best performing season as far as money-wise ever in the history of the show. It was very well received, so, but also China was as well, and I think a lot of this was because of the fact that the idols actually worked in this season. Obviously, with 11, 12, and 13, they were still trying to find, how the idols are going to work. And then in 14, obviously, it's a bad season. And then I think in 15 and 16, that's when it was good seasons, and then the idol worked as well, and those lined up to just get really, really well rated TV. At that time, the idols weren't too much, too less. It was just perfectly balanced, and it was also like kind of new and exciting. Gabon obviously just, I don't know, it kind of existed, but then 18 through 20 also were received well. 18 because of coach's craziness, and then obviously the very satisfying story and winner in JT. And then 19 and 20 because it was Russell. Russell saves the show at this point. And if you're saying no, at least according to Russell, after he had talked to Lynn Spillman, after he did his little like spiel in the South Pacific reunion about Brandon Hans, or whatever, where he like gave his opinion on Brandon's game, he had been talking to Lynn Spillman, and they were actually planning to stop after season 20, but apparently Russell had saved the show from going off the air. And so making great casting decisions like this really saved the show from that 11 to 14 period where the show had just gone so low that from 15 all the way to 20, they were just trying to build it back up to where it was. And then after 20, the views remained steady all the way through season 40. It seemed to, like just looking at the numbers, like some people left, obviously, but some people like gained slowly. Like it wasn't like one big season gained, like not even like the really, really good seasons like Kagian and David vs. Goliath gained a bunch. It really didn't matter if the season was good, bad, somewhere in the middle. Some people left, some people came, and the viewership just kind of stayed steady around anywhere from 8 to 12 million views. On a bad day, maybe 7. And so it had stayed in that range where it's good enough to, like good enough ratings to stay on TV, and it was honestly good Survivor. And even it even got through the dark ages, which is insane to think about. If any other TV show had those bad of seasons in 21, 22, 23, and 24, you're looking at them being off the air. But because the ratings just stayed steady, and then after that, the uptick from like Blood vs. Water to all the way up until I'd say Game Changers is really like a really good stretch there, and that uptick. And then these past few seasons being kind of up and down, they have consistently stayed with the exact same ratings. And Jeff has even acknowledged this himself, noting that this is the outlier of Survivor being different than other shows that go up, down, up, down, up, down over the years, over the 20 years that Survivor's been on the air. And all of those shows are off the air, and Survivor's still on the air. So at this point, I want to talk about Winners at War. So Winners at War's viewership was actually really impressive. So at this point, Survivor was averaging around anywhere from 8 to like on a really, really good night, like maybe 15 or 14. And Winners at War had saw several episodes get to 12, 13, 14, 15, and even 16 million viewers, which is great. I think after that Game Changers stretch, even though some of those seasons were not the best received in like, Ghost Sound and 39, the viewership was doing great, really. I mean, it was steady above 10 million, and even when it dipped, it wasn't for very long, and it didn't continue to dip, continuously over and over again, drop, this much, drop that much. It went, it stayed like little ridges, but it always stayed above 10 million viewers, somewhere in that 12 to 16 area, which is great nowadays, of course, with, obviously people not watching as often on regular TV. So for Winners at War, that was the case. And then for season 41, we thought we'd get new fans because of the whole Netflix thing. They added it there, and we got a lot of new fans from Netflix. Also, because we had come off quarantine, we thought we'd have some people who watched it and discovered it during then, while we took our break. But apparently not, because according to the ratings of the first 4 episodes, and I'm reading these right off of my websites and sources, so these aren't made up at all. It's the lowest ratings for live viewership up to this point. So the premiere only had 6.5 million viewers. for the premiere. And then it went down 5% after the premiere from episode 1 to 2, which is normal. Usually, or after the premiere, it's supposed to drop like 5% because obviously it's a premiere. It's really hyped up, and then some people get off because it's not the they're not interested. And then from 2 to 3, it dropped two more percent. And the big drop is from 3 to 4 after the bad episode of episode 3 going into episode 4. Viewership dropped 6.5%. Not normal. That's not okay. The only time that's really normal is when it is when the viewership drops from the premiere to the second episode. Other than that, 5+% drops is not good. No bueno. And what's even more damning is that the 18 to 49 years old demographic that watched the show from episodes 3 to 4 dropped 15%, a full 15%. That's really, really not good, because the 15 to 49 demographic is your moneymaker per se, because those are the people who will buy stuff that they see in the advertisements, versus kids obviously aren't going to buy insurance or something, or Geico, and someone who's super old isn't also going to buy that as often. It seems that that's the quote unquote money maker demographic, and that dropped 15% from 3 to 4. And this really comes down to episode 3 being not received well. So obviously episode 3 we saw really focused on the advantages. We also saw a fan favorite in Brad go. Those are two things that are no bueno, because the casual audience, although they like the advantages, like they're not completely just idiots. Basically what it is that the casual audience seemed to be confused. Obviously, if us super fans were confused, as a casual viewer, I couldn't imagine trying to understand what was going on with all the advantages. The entire episode was centered around advantages and not the players. Some players got completely purpled in that episode, and that had been going on in episode 2 as well, in Heather, in Erica, and in Jeannie, right? And so those players got no edit, and so it just overall was not a good episode overall. Some people liked it better than others. I thought it was actually better than episode 2. I think that episode 2 was the worst episode. That's just my personal opinion. But people seem to really not like episode 3. I didn't really like it that much, but I definitely didn't hate it as much as the general public did, and obviously super fans as well. And so it seems like people didn't like this episode because, I will say, focus on all the tribes, but the issue is that one, they gave a huge hero edit to the person who got blindsided, so that's obviously not very satisfying to watch. And it happened even worse in the next episode with JD. But back to this episode, in Brad, they gave him this huge hero edit, and then he gets blindsided. And on top of that, the entire time that they're focusing on all these advantages that don't even pan out. Obviously, Brad's advantage that he leaves with definitely does not pan out. And then Brad's advantage that he had found in the episode, the Beware advantage, that would only be activated if the person on Luvu could find it, that obviously didn't pan out, because now he's gone, and so now it's again just Xander with the advantage. And so it seems like that this episode was not received well by the public, super fans, or really anyone for that matter. But I personally think that episode 2 is worse, but that's just my personal opinion. So my thoughts on this: I think that we cannot afford a drop that bad, especially in that 18 to 49 demographic. If we see a drop that goes from and listen to this, from 6 million to 5.4 million from episodes 1 to 4. If 4 to 8 goes from 5.4 million to something like 3.9 million, we're in some serious trouble. Serious trouble. And so we need, or not we, production needs to take a step back if they are, because obviously the seasons are already edited. Can they change the edit if they feel like certain episodes are not going to be received well, to not focus on the advantages as much? Obviously, they can't change the fact that they added a bunch of advantages into the game. It's been filmed, but can they maybe edit them so that the episodes aren't focused as much on them, and just give them a scene or two? They're like, okay, this person has this, or at least make the editing more clear, or clarify the rules more. Obviously, with Jeff breaking the fourth wall, I really wouldn't mind, if something was so just confusing that I didn't understand it. I wouldn't mind if they just cut to Jeff in his backyard explaining it, or somebody else, or showed like an explanation on the screen. or like even like the bottom third, or show the entire note being read by the player. Any of that would make it easier to understand as a viewer, in my personal opinion. Hopefully it can rebound well. Obviously, we've seen dips happen in Survivor. None, I think, more dramatic than this one. Obviously, we've seen more numerical dips because it started out so high. There's only one place to go, and that's down. Obviously, from like a season 2 to a season 3, it probably dipped from like something like 40 million to something like 30 million, which is a 10 million drop. Whereas these are only like maybe half a million or like a full million drop. But the issue is that was relative to the viewers at the time, and this is relative to the viewers at this time. And using that, I feel like this drop is much more dramatic for me and much more of a no bueno type of situation. And so when I'm looking at this, I am worried, but I'm not throwing in the towel. I think we'll be fine. Obviously, we know that 42s are already filmed and ordered and airing in February, I believe. And we know that they've confirmed casting for season 43. And if they've done it for 43, then they've probably done it for 44 as well. And if that's the case, then we have at least confirmed to halfway through the 40s going to or already has been filmed, which is good. And hopefully we can continue on through 45 and 6 and then 7 and 8, and hopefully at least get to 50. I feel like if we can get to 50, I'll be at least somewhat satisfied with the show going off the air at that point. I feel like the show probably would do that, I think, personally. I actually have a video on how long I think Survivor would last, where I go into great detail, do a bunch of research on what Jeff has said in interviews, what Matt Van Wagen has said in interviews, and what they seem to do based on like the math, doing some calculations, stuff like that. You can go, search it up on YouTube. It should probably come up if you put my name in the search bar. And again, guys, thank you for the continuous support. Again, it means a lot that you guys can continue to keep supporting no matter what happens. You guys are always the best fan base on YouTube. Yeah, I said it. I said it, and I meant it. No, in all seriousness, guys, thank you for the continuous support, liking, sharing, commenting, but most importantly, turning on that notification bell and subscribing, pressing all on that little menu, little thing, because if you don't, then YouTube might stiff me out of some views. But that's okay, guys, because if you guys keep coming back, I'll keep making this daily content. Daily content continues tomorrow with the post-game show, and then I'll have probably a video on Thursday, and then I'm going to start doing no video on Fridays because you guys seem to be busy on Fridays, and so I'm going to start doing video on Monday and Tuesday, previewing the next episode, then a post-game show on Wednesday night, and then I'll do a video on Thursday, and then I'll do a video on Saturday, and then a video on Sunday. Tell me if that works for y'all, if y'all want something different. If you guys have any ideas for video stuff, again, tell me all about it. So what do you guys think? Is this the end of Survivor? Is there about to be a huge viewer increase? Is this it? Is this like the last batch of seasons that's about to be coming out or filming? Just let me know in the comments. And again, guys, thank you for support. If that's it, I will talk to you guys in the next one.